morning, Lenny.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
Very good.
Where am I going to pay to? Egypt.
We left Egypt. We all back.
Mentally, I'm going to Egypt. My mechutin was there for a couple of days.
Saw him yesterday.
Which one? Oh, you saw Zerbozo.
Oh,
Did you?
I mean, I didn't say a lot that I was driving at 13.
He got old, huh?
Wow. And
Yeah.
be like 6 feet.
Yeah, I saw him on Sunday.
I remember when we were like a giant. And I was always old.
He loved to dance, right? It'll be over before we know it.
Right, I know what that song is. Reb Nuchem.
April Fool's Day.
What Reb Nuchem? Sit down with Fisher, huh? I call it Fisher.
I don't know. You guys don't talk about that.
What?
You like guys negotiate something? You don't negotiate?
No negotiate. There's no Yerushalayim. It's a problem. For me, he's not around the God's policy.
No. You need to make a noise. So, it's crazy. So,
Oh, B'nai
how cool is it? In Miami.
You talk to me?
Yeah, well, I'm here.
Jacob went to Miami.
He's in Boca.
But you?
Yeah.
His brother. His son knows him. He's a little cold probation. So they look like they came off really.
Morning, how are you? Jacob doesn't need color.
No, I didn't see him for years.
You know Jacob, he's a very dark complexion. His wife says she gets on all the day. She loves it. They should stay there. I hope so. He's tired of schlepping.
But it's picking up, no?
Huh?
Picking up is a little bit.
Yeah, he did a nice job, but he's just, it's all him. He's the salesman, he does the orders, he does, he trucks the stuff, he delivers the stuff.
He doesn't want to grow.
He does the invoices, the accounting, it's a one-man show.
He doesn't want to grow. He doesn't let him draw, that's what he does. I didn't see him over 2 years, 3 years. 2, 3 years ago. You're not going to be the best.
No, I would have, but my wife doesn't want to go. I'm going to, three of them are going to Orlando to rent a house. And I'm going to one here in Muncie.
There's a problem? There's a problem?
No, my daughter.
I thought you said you go to once.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a
She lives on Pennington. Not really.
You love the edge.
I lost my mind.
No.
You're in Atlanta?
I was not a good learner. I said, no, I don't like to learn. I'm assuming this is your work.
Right. Oh, each class is how many students? 800.
Cereal.
It's good, right?
Thank you.
Need something?
Yeah.
Somebody from upstairs, it's not for now, it's for the next year. It's right there, there's 2 pages. It's red. So Friday, maybe we'll do 7:30. Oh, you're not here, right?
7:30 I can stay here. Okay.
Makes sense. And then we can do the Gemara 8:30. People get daven first. Okay. Baruch. Baruch Adonai. Malachim Shakal Namdar. Ja, Mathe, mal guten Yom Tov. Kann schon sagen, einen gesunden Sommer. Hopefully. A Sachatzlach in Alts. Dank. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Yesterday we concluded the Maimer of Leviason Zeh Tzar Telasachek Boy in Parsha Shmini. At least one version of it, or one aspect of it. So we'll continue today. The next page, page 38, Parshas Tazria. The first Maimer on Parshas Tazria. Isha ki Tazria v'yolda zachar. Page 38, or Daf Yutes Amud Gimel, Yutes column 3. On top it should say Shmini Tazria. Isha ki Tazria v'yolda zachar. The opening of Parshas Tazria, which is this week's portion, Parsha, opens with the words Isha ki Tazria v'yolda zachar. A woman will conceive and give birth to a male. If a woman conceives and gives birth to a male, and the whole continuation of the various laws connected to childbirth. V'amri Razal, comes the Gemara and says, Bebrachas daf Samach Hamad Aleph, Nida daf Lamed Aleph Aleph. In Meseches Brachas and Meseches Nida, Isha Mazras Tchila Yeled Zachar. A famous statement of our sages, that when a woman is Mazras Tchila, which literally means if she is the first one to generate the flow, the orgasmic flow of zera, of seed, then Yoeled Zachar, the baby, will be male. And the Gemara continues, Ish Mazriat Chila, Yoeled Nekeva. If the man generates the flow first initially, Mazriya comes from the word zera, which means the seed of life. Zera is seed, like we have in Parshas Bereshis. Of course, the fetus is born from the combination of the seed and the egg. If Ish Mazriat Chila, if the man generates the zera first, the seed first, then Yoledes Nekeva, she will give birth to a female. And that's how the Gemara explains why the pasuk says Isha ki Tazria v'yolda zachar. Could have said Isha ki yolda zachar. The process of how she has a baby, that's not what the Torah is out here to discuss. Isha ki yolda zachar, when she has a male. And then later, when she has a female. The Torah is trying to say Isha ki Tazria v'yolda zachar. That when Isha mazras tchila, if it's a female initiation, then the product will be a male child. And conversely, if it's a male initiation, the product is a female child. V'zeh ploi, interesting expression, v'zeh ploi. And this is very wondrous, very strange, very enigmatic. It's a pella. V'hafilosofim nitchiku liyashiv. The philosophers, he's talking here about Jewish philosophers, Jewish balei machshava, Jewish thinkers throughout the ages, nidchaku, were stressed, liyashiv, to explain this, statement of the Chazal in Masechta Brachas and Masechta Nida. What is the meaning of this? What is the explanation of this? It says, nidchaku liyashiv, the hafilosofim. And what did they explain? The usual explanation in works of Jewish commentary is since the woman is mazras tchila, she initiates the flow. Harei tipas hazocher ba b'achroina. So the seed of the male comes later, after her flow, so to speak. V'ila gavar, and that which is on the top prevails. In other words, since she initiated the process, so his tipa, his sperm comes, b'achroina comes later, so it's on the top. This is what it says in Mefarshim. Ila gavar, it prevails, and hence the fetus is male. But if the man initiates first, so then her flow follows it, so it prevails. It's called Ila Gavar, what's on the top. What comes afterwards, that's what prevails. That's how some of the Jewish thinkers explain the logic behind this Maimon Chazal. If my memory serves me correctly, this explanation is in Rabbeinu Bechaya. In Rabbeinu Bechaya and the Chumash, I believe he says this vart. V'amnam be'emes hu doiche gadol befirish lashon isha mazras tchila. But the truth is, this is a very a big doichik. It's a very difficult explanation to explain the words isha mazras tchila. The mashma shememena dafke bo hazras hazacher v'lo yadei shehazacher mazriya lebesayf. When the Chazal say isha mazras tchila yeled zacher, what does it sound like? As a result of her initiation, the product is a male. According to the explanation of the Jewish philosophers, it's not, no. It's because she initiates first, so therefore he comes on top. That's why it says zacher. So Isha Mazras Tchila is really completely inconsequential here. It's just incidental because she happens to be first. So he happens to come second. So it's Ilah Gavar. So that which is on top prevails. So therefore it becomes a male. The dominant force here is a male force. From the Lashon of Chazal, which is very precise, is Isha Mazras Tchila Yeled Zacher. It sounds like, as a result of the Mazras Tchila, that's what creates a Zachar. As a result of the fact that she initiates the flow, not because she initiates and therefore automatically he comes second. And the same is the opposite. The Lashon is Ish Mazriya Tchila Yeledus Nekeva. According to their explanation, it's not Ish Mazriya Tchila Yeledus Nekeva. It's because he was first. So therefore, her flow is Ilah, it's on top, it prevails. So the dominant force here is a female force. But from the language of Chazal, what's the intimation? It's because she came first, that's why there's a zachar, there's a male. Or because he came first, that's why she gives birth to a female. Furthermore, the Amr Azal say Pere Gimel de Nida, the Gemara says at the end of the 3rd chapter of Masechta Nida, Gabei Dina Ksiv Bitoy, Bitoy Shel Yaakov. Dina is identified in Chumash as Bas Yaakov. She's the daughter of Yaakov. V'gabe hashvatim ksiv b'nei Leah. Her brothers are called the children of Leah. She is defined as Tati's daughter, and they're defined as Mom's sons. They're called b'nei Leah, and she's called Bas Yaakov. So the Gemara wants to understand why. Why, when it comes to Dina, does the Torah define her based on her father? And her brothers are defined based on the mother. She's daddy's girl, and they're mom's boys. And for the Gemara, so the Gemara answers, Ki isha mazras tchila yeled zachar. Because since when the woman generates the flow first, so she gives birth to the male, and conversely, so therefore, the shvatim are associated with whom? More with Leah. Even though, of course, they have a father, But the male child comes as a result of the woman's inspiration as the dominant feature. Conversely, Dinah, why was Dinah born? It's because of the male initiation, because of the dominance of the inspiration of the male. So she's called Bas Yaakov. Because Ish Mazriya Tchila, says the Gemara, Yiladas Nekeva. Nu im kein mashma. What do we see from this Gemara? Shemizera ha'isha dafka noilad ha'zachar. That the reason the male is born is because of Zera ha'isha. Because there's a dominant component here in the contribution of the woman, in her initiation and her inspiration and her stamina and her vigor and her expression, etc. And that's why the Shvatim, the brothers, are called Bnei Leah, versus Dinah is called Bas Yaakov. It's an expression of Yaakov's inspiration and vigor and expression. According to the explanation of Rabbeinu Bechaya and the Jewish philosophers, why are the Shvatim connected to Leah and Dinah is connected to Yaakov? It happens to be Isha Mazras Tchila. So then, as the Rabbeinu Bechaya says, his tipa comes on top, Ilah Gavar. So fakir, the Shvatim are called Bnei Yaakov, Ilah Gavar. And Dinah should be called Bas Leah because Ilah Gavar again. So from this Gemara we also see that the way the Chazal understood this was that it's precisely connected to the way they say it. Isha Mazras Tchila. When the initiation, when the zera, the flow begins from the woman, Yoeled Zocha, the product is a male, and conversely. But as he says, V'hu peli, this is a very pelidic thing, it's a strange thing. V'dai lemevin, how we see from this Chazal that the explanation is deeper than above. V'cheinu b'medrash Rabbi Tazriya, soif parsha yudalit. The same can also be it can be seen from the language in Medrash Tazriya. Hazachar min ha'isha. The male boy, the male, comes from the woman. According to the explanation of the Jewish philosophers, why is Hazachar min ha'isha? The Zachar is from the Isha and the Ish. Fakert. The reason he's a Zachar is because the Ish is Goiver, Law Govar. Why does the Medrash say Hazachar min ha'isha? Here again we see that the Chazal understood that there's some mysterious or some interesting link between the female inspiration and the result of that is the male child, the male fetus. And conversely, the male inspiration dominant, and the result of that is female, which seems counterintuitive.
Why is Dina brought as an example? Because she was supposed to be a boy originally.
Ah, interesting.
It seems like so semantics, because it's not a stira. Because her flow started first, so that's why he did.
No, but according to their explanation, it's not because she started first. It's because he came second. Verstehst? According to their you're right, but that's a hagdam. That's not the vart. Because she came first, so therefore he came second. So ilah gavar. That's what the lashon of Rabbeinu Bechaya is. So the higher one prevails. The tchila is incidental for him to come second. You understand? The explanation is ki hazachar hu b'chinas chesed. The zachar, the male, is associated generally with the attribute of chesed. Kediksiv zachar chazda. The expression in Tehillim is zachar chazda, which literally remembers he remembers his kindness. But in Tanakh, everything is precise, and of course, there's no nekudus, and therefore you could pronounce words in different ways. So Zachar Chazda is also a remez in the works of Kabbalah and Pnimi Yisatayra that Chesed is associated with Zachar, with the male. Femininity, female, is associated with the attribute of Gvura, which means strength, which is also hinted in the expression of Chazal, Dina de Malchusa Dina. Malchus is the term for femininity. Dina de Malchusa Dina, literally it means the din of the Malchus, the law of the king, is law. And if it doesn't violate the laws of Torah, all citizens must adhere to the law of the government, to the law of the regime. We're talking about a law that is consistent with the basic ethics of morality and doesn't violate Torah. But Dina de Malchusa Dina, that's the literal interpretation of Chazal, that the din of the Malchus is din. We have in Shas in a few places, Dina de Malchusa Dina. But there's also a remez, a hint. on a homiletical level. What's the hint? That malchus, femininity, is associated with what? Midas hadin. Midas hadin means judgment, sternness, severity, gvura. Dina, din, very well. Dina, yeah. Ukamayim Razal, as the Gemara says, al Sari imenu, about Sarah, shebesha de beseches baba metzia, shebesha shebistru amalachim, shasida shetelet ben, zachar, pirsa nid de b'chinas guras. When the malachim, the angels, came to visit Avram and Sarah, and they notified her that she's going to have a male, a child, after all these years, so pirsa nid. At that moment, when she heard the news, it says, Rashi also brings, Chazal brings, Pirsa Nida. She had her period, her flow, which is Pchinas Gvuris, which is also represents a concept of Gvura, of Din, which is also blood. V'gam Amru Razal. And the Gemara says also, Shavram, Tziva Loses Lohem, Soilus. When Avraham spoke to her about preparing food for the guests, so he said to take silas. Later in the story it says she gave kemach. So the Gemara says, Mikan, this is Meseches Bab Metzia Daf Pezayin, Mikan she'isha eina tzara ba'erchem. From here you see that her eye, the eye of the woman is narrower, eina tzara, literally narrower, when it comes to guest. It's more of a difficult experience for a woman with guest. And the reason is because she's associated with the Pchin of Gvura. What does this mean? It's always important when we discuss this not to make generalizations, because every person is different. And when we speak here about Zachar and Nekeva, Zachar means male, Nekeva means female, but it's the concept of masculinity and femininity in its source, which is basically Adam and Chava. Sometimes there are males that reflect it fully or partially, and as we'll soon see, within each one you have also the other one. Within a male you have femininity, within femininity you have masculinity. When we speak about femininity and masculinity in its source, so it's brought in Sifrei Kabbalah and Pnimi Satayr and Sifrei Machshava and Sifrei Chassidus that Zachar is generally associated with Chesed and Nekeva is generally associated with Gvura. Does it manifest like that, mamish, in every man and woman? Sometimes yes, sometimes partially, sometimes lavdavka, sometimes there's a little bit of give and take and so forth. What is the concept? So he brings Zachar Chazda, Dina de Malchusa Dina, Pirsa Nida, and Einah Tzara Ba'erchem. Her eyes are Tzara Ba'erchem. Why? Because it's connected to Gvura. What's the difference between Chesed and Gvura? Generally, people understand Chesed is kindness, and Gvura is the opposite of kindness. Gvura is strictness and sternness and harshness. It's a form of distance, yeah. Discipline, yeah. Midas hadin, din de malchus. Din is not chesed, din is the law, right? The Gemara has an expression in Sanhedrin, Yaakov hadin sahar. Let the law perforate, make a hole in the mountain. In other words, justice doesn't stop. Doesn't compromise. Din is din, strict. You say midas hadin, the attribute of strictness of judgment. When you think about it, though, a little deeper, Gvura is not the opposite of chesed. Gvura is, in many ways, something that is deeper. It's more close. There's a closeness in Gvura that's deeper than Chesed. Chesed means kindness. That's true. Benevolence, giving. It's associated with love and affection and closeness. So that's why Gvura has bad rap, you know. Gvura is tzimtzum and din and discipline and severity and judgment. But like in every midah, you have it in a constructive way and you have it in a destructive way. You have it in a holy way, you have it in an unholy way. There's Yitzchak's Gvura and there's Esav's Gvura. The Gemara says in Psachim, Yitzchak yatzim amenu Esav. Yitzchak was Gvura, Esav was also Gvura, but it's a different Gvura. Avraham was Chesed, Yishmael was also Chesed. Avraham yatzim amenu Yishmael. But you can't compare Yishmael's Chesed to Avraham's Chesed. Because every attribute, like we all know, can be refined and expressed in an ideal and healthy and nurturing way that advances goodness in the person and goodness in the world, and the very same attribute can be misapplied, misconstrued, and used in a way that is often that's destructive and undermines the goodness in the person and the goodness in the world around them. Let's speak about Chesed and Gvura the way they are in their ideal form, in a positive way, even though they can each be misconstrued. Chesed we call kindness, benevolence. Gvura is strength, discipline. Gvura is always associated with boundaries, which is what Midas Hadin is. Din means there's a law, there's a path, there's a course. This is the way to do it. This is against the law. This is din. Din of the Malchus Din means there's a certain constitution, there's a certain pattern one has to follow. That's what we say Midas Hadin. This is how it is. You can't step out of these boundaries. Yeah. So din is very much about certain constraints, certain boundaries, structure. Now, is structure less chesed than kindness? Think about your children. Giving children structure and discipline and a sense of confidence that they know where they can go, where they can't go, what is safe, what is not safe, what is protected, what is not protected. Is that less chesed than chesed? There are two types of homes, right? There's a home where there's no gvura, there's only chesed. Is that really chesed? A home where everything goes, we don't discipline, we don't tell anybody that something is wrong, we don't do that. We're too kind for that. We tolerate everything. Al's gate. So there's no sleeping time, there's no eating time, there's no bathing time, there's no rules, there's no discipline, there's no consequences. Garnished. Is that good for children? A person says, I can't punish, I can't penalize, I can't create boundaries. I'm too open. I'm an uninhibited, infinite bohemian hippie. I'm not into this gvura constraints and limits and discipline. I'm not that type of person. I'm not a narrow person. I'm one with the universe. Okay? So tell that to your little children. I'm one with the universe. We're one with the universe. So anybody who has a little seichel and even more a little experience, seichel doesn't always help, experience helps, knows that is as destructive for children, could be as destructive for children as the opposite extreme. A house that's uptight, only uptight. You have homes that are all about discipline. You don't feel any love. There's no flow of energy. There's no give and take. It's all discipline. It's like a boot camp. You have classrooms like that. Some of us had teachers. They were professional boot camp disciplinarians. Nobody uttered a word. There are homes that run like that. They run like boot camps. And we all understand, those who experienced it, that there's something that children crave. They need love and nurture and a sense of closeness and a sense of confidence and trust. But equally damaging of gvura without chesed is chesed without gvura. When there's absolutely no boundaries, children don't feel safe. In fact, research has shown that similar to the trauma of children who grow up in a home that is very repressive and oppressive, is a similar trauma to children who grow up in a home where there's absolutely no discipline and boundaries, because in both cases, they don't know they don't know who they are. They don't feel safe. They don't have a presence of parents or mentors who make them feel safe. This is good, this is bad, this is allowed, this is not allowed. They grow up in this open, endless space, which we call chesed, but it really creates a sense of anarchy, and they're lost. They're completely lost. It seems like it's the best education, but it's really traumatic. Traumatic, because these children desperately don't have what to hold on to. Yeah. To give a simple example, what real gvura means. I was discussing this with a group of teenagers. We were talking about halacha and shulchan aruch. So I said, imagine on top of the building, your building, you have a huge roof. Huge. It's flat, it's huge, it's great, it's awesome. It's unbelievable for a football game. Great for a football field. There's only one issue. There's no fence. They forgot to build a maike, vasisa maike legagach. There's no fence. But it's huge, it's great. So after school, you guys want to play football, or play soccer, or play baseball, or play whatever it is. You go up, and you're playing football. What type of game is it going to be? You're going to be miserable. Everybody's going to be afraid to tackle to another person, to run too fast. You run an extra 10 yards, you go to the end zone, and chas v'shalom, where a person with a player may end up a real end zone. A real end zone. Somebody comes and puts a fence, a good fence around the roof. I'm a chaya. Huh?
Trump.
You put up a good fence. I'm a chaya. Now you can have fun. Man kann laufen und bricken und springen und tanzen. You could run and jump and dance and tackle and fly up and fly down and exercise and express all your energy and vigor and stamina and have a great time. So you look, why are you limiting them? You're not limiting them. You're allowing them actually to play a good game. You're being kind to them. Why are you being kind to them? Because there's a safety. I know I could run and run and run with all my might, and I'm going to be safe. With children, it's the same thing. When there's a fence in life, then I could run. I know, because there's limits. If there's no limits, I don't know where I could run, where I can't run. And in a funny way, in a counterintuitive way, it takes away so much more from me. And it's true not only with children, it's true with teenagers, it's true with adults, and so forth. Sometimes with kids, I once took one of my boys to an amusement park. So I'm not such a fan of roller coasters. But since when you're in Rome, you do as in Rome. Halach lakarta as albanim. Most of the Gemara Taka says the Baba Metzia when you come to a place. So you're in an amusement park, you go on a roller coaster. So he wanted to go dafka on the roller coasters that turn the kishkas around 20 times, you know, the super duper loopers, like 4 times upside down. And of course to sit in the front, and the hands have to be up. I mean, all the all the minhagim and the hidurim and the chumras. Okay, so I didn't do all the hidurim, but I tried at best to be somewhat accommodating, to be somewhat fun, not too nerdy. So I sit down, and you know how it is in the roller coasters. The goyim are taking pictures, and the Jews are saying vidui. The goyim are taking pictures, ma läuft, ma springt, they're eating, and Jews are writing tzavos and saying Shema Yisrael, and they want to see if it may be broken, right? And if he falls, where he's going to fall. The Chevra Kaddish are available. He's writing tzavos, he's sending texts, v'chuli, v'chuli. It's a whole different matzav. On Ferris wheels, it's that way too. You ever see when the Ferris wheel stops? The Gentiles start taking pictures, and the Jews want to know what's wrong with the Ferris wheel. Why did it stop? Is he ever going to come down? He's already sending messages to his wife, and so on and so forth. It's a shrek. This is our trauma. We have trauma for many years, so it expresses itself, Baruch Hashem, in America, in Ferris wheels and roller coasters. So I'm sitting there, and you have to put on the seatbelt, right? So I put on the seatbelt, and the person is walking by to check, and I'm afraid that he's going to skip me, and he's not going to check me. Why he's going to skip me? It's just a fear. He's going to skip me and not check me, and it's not going to, and it's going to open up. So what am I doing? I'm schlepping on the seatbelt, right? Schlepping on the seatbelt, trying to test how powerful it is, just in case the guy doesn't stop. I'll probably like call him to check again, a 30th, 40th time. No. If you're standing there watching me going like this, pulling it apart from each other, what do you see? You see a person trying to undo the seatbelt, break the seatbelt. What am I really trying to do? I'm really hoping that I'm going to be unsuccessful. I'm hoping that this seatbelt is strong. And it's a very true metaphor for life. Sometimes teenagers are trying to undo the seatbelt. What they're hoping is that the seatbelt works, that it's not going to be undone. We parents, who are sometimes weak and spineless, look and say, "Oy, never, he hates the seatbelt, let me take it apart." No. He's hoping and wishing that this seatbelt is strong. He's hoping, trust me, because life is a roller coaster. And when a roller coaster of life, you need a good seatbelt. Because people will schlep you upside down and you could fall down into the abyss, Khalila. You need a seatbelt. But there are two types of seatbelts. There's a seatbelt that's crushed, you know those seatbelts where you feel like you can't breathe. And there are seatbelts that keep you safe. There's two types of gvura. There's a gvura that comes with oppression. I don't care about you. It's about limiting you. And then there's gvura that's about keeping you safe. And it's from one extreme to another extreme. Our generation became so allergic to discipline because people have experienced too much gvura, which seemed like cruelty. Where I delegitimize you. I put on a seatbelt on you because I don't want you. I want you to remain here, and I'm not interested in you. That's not what gvura is. That's cruelty. That's oppression. Real gvura, in many ways, is more chesed than chesed. Real gvura means I'm tuning in actually to your needs for you to be able to grow to the person you're capable of becoming. And therefore, all disciplines and restrictions are not growing out of my obsession and anger and impulsiveness. When gvura comes from anger and impulsiveness, and I don't know how to control myself, and the only thing I don't know is how to scream and punish and penalize, that's not real gvura. That's my temper. I need anger management lessons. I have a lot of issues to deal with. It's toxic. But then there's gvura that's actually full of kindness. It's full of love. It's the seatbelt that helps you navigate a journey that takes you upside down 25 times in a super duper looper. And life is very, very fast these days, especially when you're 16 years old. And if you know that you have parents who are emotionally present in your life, emotionally present, not just to make rules, but they're present. So it's like building that fence around that roof. Vasisa kisivna bayis chadosh. Vasisa maika legagecha. That's not a gvura that oppresses. That's a gvura that allows you to play the game. It really allows you to play the game. You understand what I'm saying? This is important stuff, especially for children and teenagers today. Parents run away. Let's undo all seatbelts. They wish there's a seatbelt. But don't make the mistake the opposite. Putting on a seatbelt doesn't mean mean and harsh and oppressive and delegitimizing and mocking and being cynical and being angry. On the contrary, it means I want you to have fun. I want you to be creative. I want you to play a good football game. I want you to have a good roller coaster ride. When that seatbelt was tight, I can actually enjoy the ride. Well, not me, but people can enjoy the ride. What if you know, I don't have seatbelts. I'm bli gvul. I don't believe in gvura. You're sitting on the roller coaster, right? And you're waiting for the moment of Yitzias HaNeshama. That's called fun? That's not fun. The more gvura, the more life, the more creativity. That's why, very much, that's when we say femininity is associated with gvura and masculinity is associated with chesed. It's not so, women are gvura. Gvura is actually a very, very deep thing. Gvura means that you're really attached to the person. Whenever you're really connected to the person, you will never only be involved in chesed. There has to be an element of gvura. Because all discipline, all boundaries, all restrictions real gvura, come from what? They come from the fact that you're attentive to the needs of the other person rather than attentive only to your own nature and expression. A house having a healthy structure may be contrary to my nature. Somebody's in the nature of chesed, they just want everything to be free for all. But if you care about the people involved and you want them to be able to become people who are focused, who have their koiches, who are not exhausted, who are nurtured, who are well fed, who know what stability is, who know what responsibility is, you need gvura. There was a mother who called me once. She asked me if I could speak to her. Her daughter was engaged with a chassan, and she says that they're on the phone 12 hours a night, and he could sleep in till 3 in the afternoon, but she has a teaching job at 6 in the morning. She gets up, she teaches, she goes to sleep 5 in the morning because they're on the phone. So he was a student of mine, so she asked me if I could speak to him about it. Fine, so I saw him, I said, what's going on? I didn't want to tell him that his shviga is already monitoring the telephone calls. Mer Feldman I asked him what's going on, how is it going? Shut. So he says, it's gewaldic. I say, you speak sometimes to the Kala? He says, yeah, a lot. How long? He tells me, 12 hours, 13 hours. I said, okay, it would be nice if married couples also speak for 20 minutes a day. But Shain, at this point, it's 12 hours, Baruch Hashem. So I said, but she teaches in the morning, yeah? He says, you're right, but I love her, so I can't hang up the phone. I can't hang up the phone. I love this person, I can't hang up the phone. It's a classic expression. I don't think he was lying, he was saying the truth. He really feels such strong emotion to this person, which is wonderful. The only thing is, he's not thinking about the fact that this person has to be up in the morning. Real gevura is not coming from detachment. It comes from more attachment. Because there's real attachment to the needs of the other person, not only to my needs and my feelings, therefore we create structures and boundaries. There is a different type of gevura, that's Esav. And you have to be very, very careful. Very careful. And that's why the word punishments you have to be very careful with. Because if you're punishing your students or your children or anybody from anger, then it's not this gvura. Then it's a gvura that's an expression of your own frustrations, not of the needs of the other person. And that's why the Baal Shem Tov said that when you're angry, you shouldn't speak for 61 minutes. You should not speak for 61 minutes. Because the things you're going to say, you don't want to say. You have lost control. I know people who in the middle of their anger have sold their homes, sold their businesses, gotten divorced, and then they sobered up like, ooh. Because when you're in the midst of anger, you're not in control. So, like a dibuk takes over. When people are punishing out of anger, you come home, you have a headache, and you have the flu, and you have the virus. And Baruch Hashem, your wife sent you a text like she knows how to send you. And now you come home, and now your child says that comment that mamish triggers all your insecurity and trauma from 45 years, right? So you have a meltdown, an epic meltdown. Alav Yosem et Asher Habar. As a gladiator, and who's the victim? The victim is, of course, the little child, because he's innocent, and what is he going to fight you? Yeah, like I once heard a father tell his son, I'm not making a bar mitzvah for you. Great, I'm not sending you to camp. Great, you can have him 2 months in your house. That's a wonderful penalty. That's real. I'm not sending you to camp. I'm not making a bar mitzvah for you. Okay, yeah. I'm not making a mitzvah for you, right? The guy did it. He was pushed angry. He lost it. So what is he going to say? What is he going to say? I'm not marrying you off? What is he going to say? So he said, I'm not making a mitzvah. He knows the kid is as soon as a mitzvah, all the friends are having a mitzvah. It's great. Now, yeah. So when a person has to know that, sometimes I'm in a broken place, I'm in a very frustrated place, and you can even tell your children. You could say, Tate had a very hard day, and he's in a very bad mood. Don't take it personal. Another thing is sometimes when you're in a bad mood, they think they're guilty. They think they're at fault for your being, which is very hard burden for children. Just like children, when parents get divorced, blame themselves for their fighting and the burden they have to live with, that I'm the one who destroyed the family. I'm the one single-handedly. I'm the one. So these are all things where one has to be very, very careful between gvura and gvura. Eineha tzara ba'erchem. Yeah, literally it means she's stingy when it comes to guests. What the Chazal is saying is for women it's harder to have guests than for men. Very interesting observation. For women it's harder to have guests than for men because they're more midas hagvura than midas hachesed. And midas hachesed is more, in many ways, it's kind, but it's like a little detached. You give. And gvura is, you're very attached. You're very attached, and therefore you're detailed-oriented. Gvura is always detailed-oriented. Chesed is not. Gvura is tzimtzum. Why is gvura tzimtzum? Tzimtzum means detailed-oriented, focused, filtered. That's what gvura is always about, that. Again, you have gvura that is meshuga, right? A person is a hypochondriac, an OCD, and every detail gets noticed. It's also gvura, but it's chronic. It's meshuga, like an employer, right? You sneeze and he notices it. And you left your tissue on the desk. right? And he makes a board meeting about it because you left your tissue on the desk. Like no detail goes unnoticed. That could drive people crazy. It's like, relax. You need another flow. So there's gvura and there's gvura. There's gvura and right. Eineh tzara ba'archim. There's a taich from the Magid. Eineh. The word tsar means narrow. Yeah. Eineh tzara ba'archim. Her eye is narrow when it comes to guest. Meaning, men often, they like what we call in Yiddish, they haben lieb zu firin tish. They like to fir a tish. You know, you have a lot of guests, mefir tish. Eineh tzara ba'archim means women naturally want a more intimate relationship. You can't have an intimate relationship when you have a bunch of guests around the table. You can only talk about general things. You can talk about Trump. Today you can't even talk about that when you have guests. You got to be very careful. I mean, maybe Muncie, yeah, but not other places. What Eineh tzara, she wants to, tzara, from the word tsar, she wants to tune in and focus in. It's about a very individual relationship. If you have one person, you could speak to them, you can get to know them, you could share. With more people, it's harder. It's a different energy. It's a different ambiance.
She says each arach.
Huh?
She says each arach to what they need.
Yeah. You'll sometimes also, and every detail and everything becomes part of the process. She doesn't, right? Women will often say, "How can I bring guests into this house? Yeah. I didn't prepare. The house is a mess. There's not enough food." And like the guy, "Well, I'll just go to Evergreen, was willst du? I'll buy coleslaw, egg salad, whatever it is." Yeah, it's so there's yesh bazeh mashem bazeh. There's a beauty to this. There's a beauty to this. So generally speaking, masculinity is associated with chesed, and femininity is associated with gvura. With gvura, dina the malchusa dina, and that's the concept of the nida. Nida is a concept of gvura.
So why does the woman?
And that's why there's an intensity that femininity represents. Again, not everybody and not always, and it's not a generalization, but very often there's a certain intensity of emotion that femininity represents that masculinity doesn't have. When it comes to you know, sometimes what men don't even notice, for women is a very, very big deal. There's a deep emotional sensitivity to a person's comments, to a person's energy, to a person's ambiance. Now, for many men, this is very, very difficult. A lot of husbands, it takes them years to learn about this. First, they're blaming themselves. Then they're trying to change their wives. But you have to really come to learn and respect that there's, like we spoke many times, there's different people, there's different personalities, different energies. And just because a person operates on a different level of energy, it's not a blame on you. It doesn't delegitimize you. You don't have to delegitimize the other person either. But it's a certain sensitivity that one has to always be attentive to. I'm sorry, what did you say? Yeah. V'hinei bevlad shnei mazriim. When you have a child, there's a combination of both. There's what we call an orgasmic flow of both. There's the male and there's the female. Again, zera is the flow. For the man, it's the seed. For the woman, it's expressed in the egg. But shneim azriyim. U'kamaymer as the Gemara says in Nida daf lamed loivin min ha'av shememenu atzamas v'gidim u'moya chuli oidim min ha'em shememenu oiru basar. The Gemara describes loivin, which is the sperm, the seed from the father, is the source of the bones and the sinews and the brain. Oidim, which represents the egg and the blood, which is red from the mother, which is the source of the skin and the flesh, etc. And together you have the child. How do these two flows unite? Generally, chesed and gvura are opposites. Water extinguishes fire. Mayim is associated with chesed. Eish is associated with gvura. Fire and water don't converge without a separation between them. Yet here, every birth is the process of a complete synthesis between the male dynamic and the female dynamic, because the seed of life of the male must be conceived, and encounter the egg of the woman, and together, only together, can the embryo be created, which can be developed into a fetus. How does this synthesis happen? Acha inyan kenoi that's known shayut spheres klulim kol echad man mekula. The 10 spheres, the 10 characteristics, each one encompasses all of them. They don't exist in isolation. V'yesh b'chesed. When you speak about chesed, there's chesed shebechesed, ugvura shebechesed, v'tiferet shebechesed. Like we say in Sfiras HaOmer. 7 midas become 49 days because each of the 7 encompasses all 7. V'chein b'gvura, you come to gvura, yesh chesed shebegvura, gvura shebegvura, chuli. K'moshe nisbara b'inyan Sfiras HaOmer, shem zayin midas, v'kol echad kol mizayin. Sfiras HaOmer is 7 midas, but each one encompasses the other 7. So 7 times 7 is 49. So day 1, I focus on the chesed aspect of chesed. But day 2, I have to ask myself another question. Does my chesed have a gvura aspect? Does my chesed have a tiferes aspect? Does my chesed have a netzach aspect? In other words, there's chesed shebechesed, which is pure chesed. There's gvura shebechesed, which is the gvura aspect of chesed. And then there's the Tiferes of Chesed, and the Netzach of Chesed, and the Hoyd of Chesed, etc. The same is true the opposite. There's Gvura Shebegvura, there's Chesed Shebegvura. Does my Gvura have a Chesed in it? Because for Gvura to be wholesome, it needs to have all the other 7. All the 10 must have all 10. Even though the focus may be one. The focus is Chesed. This is Chesed Shebechesed, Gvura Shebechesed, it's still Chesed, but it's the Gvura aspect of Chesed. What would be the Gvura aspect of Chesed? Do I know how to filter my chesed? What would be the chesed aspect of gvura? He gives an example. Al derech mashal of makeh bnoyu miyasri b'shevet hanoshim. A father who may discipline his child, umiyasroi, rebuke him b'shevet hanoshim. Shevet hanoshim is an expression of Tanakh. Chaysich shiftei sevrei bnoyu with shevet hanoshim with a metaphoric scepter. He's disciplining his child. Hareyu machmas avo. It must come out of love. Because he wants the child to return, to be one with God, and to be immersed in Hashem's Torah. The pasuk says, he who God loves, he rebukes. Meaning, not rebuking my child is not love. Not rebuking my child means apathy. Do whatever you want. If I really love you and I care for you, I want you should be the best you can. I want you to be the person you're capable of being. So on one level it's gvura. Rebuke is rebuke. Discipline is discipline. Penalty is penalty. But what's in it? What's behind it? What's the reason for it? The reason for it is pure ahava, love. Fakert, if there wouldn't be love, this wouldn't happen. Ulahepe chesed shebegvura. Then there's chesed shebegvura. Hainu ha'eim shemashpas lebna kol toiv umenikasei harbe chuli ve'en zetevasei klal. You spoil a person. You give whatever they want, and it's completely not good for him. Another candy, whatever they want. And it's not good. It's not good for this child's body. It's not good for this child's mind. But I can't say no. So sometimes something, what's his point? His point is sometimes something could look very kind, but it's really not kind. You're really punishing them. It looks like chesed. I'm giving you a knife to play with, but I'm punishing you. Sometimes it could look at the surface as harsh, as distance, but really it's pure love. So it's really chesed, even though the levush is gvura. Or it's really gvura, even though the levush is chesed.
Sometimes people are so good, they end up being good for nothing.
So in other words, what's on the outside is not always on the inside. You have to be able to see the pnimius. And here we learn the Chagav, the Yesod, that there's no such a thing as punishing if there's no love. Because if you're punishing without love, then the punishment is from a gvura that is not connected to chesed. It's very often counterproductive. Before I punish somebody, I have to make sure there's the presence of affection. I care. And that's why I'm doing the next step. Because if not, it can be coming from anger and it's completely not helpful. It's punitive, it's vindictive. V'hinei b'yichud v'zivug ha'av. When you have now the yichud, the unity, and the zivug, the intimacy of the father with the mother, v'yichud v'zivug, whenever there's intimacy, kamba ha'av mashpiyah m'bchinas ha'gvura shabai. The father brings to the table himself, which is gvura. V'ha'eim shehi m'gvura mashpas m'bchinas ha'chesed shabai. And the mother, who is from gvura, gives from her chesed. He gives from his gvura. She gives from her chesed. That's why they could connect. If the father would give chesed shebechesed instead of gvura shebechesed, and the mother would give gvura shebegvura instead of chesed shebegvura, they could never connect. What is the Balatanya teaching us here? The yisoid of zivug, the essence of zivug, of chibur, of intimacy, is to connect to the other person. To connect to the other person is I have to be able to find within myself and create within myself, carve out space for the reality of the other person. If the husband cannot find within himself the space for his feminine counterpart, and the woman can't find within herself space for the masculine counterpart, then they can't connect. He's in his world, and she's in her world. How does the connection happen? By him finding the femininity within himself. That's why he says, Ha'av mashpiyah m'bchinas gvura. He has to be able to discover the gvura aspect that exists, because even in chesed there's gvura. In masculinity there's femininity, and the feminine has to discover the masculine within the feminine. What does this mean on a practical level? On a practical level, it means I have to be able to create space for the other person. I have to really be attentive to who you are, what your personality is, what your energy is, and find that within myself. Now, this is sometimes very hard, because it's not me. I have to really open myself up to you. But the only way I can open myself up to you is if I find that little you in me. Because if I can't find that little you in me, then I can't relate to it. I can't respect it. I can't create space for it. So the husband connects by bringing to the table, by bringing in the energy of the feminine that he finds within himself, and she does the opposite. So in people's life, in a couple's life, it's very much about listening. It's really listening and tuning into who the other person is without judgment. What often happens is, I'm listening to you, but I'm judging right away. Judging means I'm imposing my ideas on what you're saying. So either I like it or I hate it, but I'm always judging it. But then there's a concept called curiosity. Curiosity means, can I just listen to the other person and find out who they are without the need to put it in perspective? Just as real curiosity. You know, it's good advice for many couples. If a person would come to me to see me, just a stranger, I never heard his name before, and he would sit down and he would tell me about all these things that are going on in his brain, I'm not going to take it personal. I'm going to listen with curiosity. What is this person going through? Can you do that with your spouse? In this sense, just listen with curiosity. What is this person going through? Without the need to say, you're wrong. How could you be so stupid? Where did you get this idea? It's a shagas. I told you already 600 times not to think like this. Shkoyach, brilliant genius. You told me 600 times. But the truth is, I'm being triggered. I'm being triggered because I feel like somehow I'm being judged. Your wife sharing is not judging you. It's her sharing. Your husband sharing is not judging you. So can you really just listen and learn about the world of the other person? When I could learn about your world and you could learn about my world, that's where unity happens. That's where there could be yichud. So I could now find within myself what he calls it, the gvura shebechesed, the femininity within the masculinity. She could find within herself the chesed shebegvura, the masculinity within the femininity, and here there could be yichud. There could be real connection. Now we'll understand what the Chazal mean, that when the woman is mazras tchila, when she generates the flow, what's the product? Male. Why? Because what does it mean for her to be intimate? For her to be intimate means to find a husband in her. So she gives chesed. That's her hashpah. I have to give you the part of you that's in me, not the part of me. I'm not trying to impose me on you. That's not intimacy. Intimacy means I carve out a space for you inside of me. And that's where I can share. That's what I want to give you. I want to give you what you are. That's where I want to connect. I want to connect with you. I don't need you to become me, to cease being you and be me. So I have to be able to find within myself the space for you. It's not so simple. So what is she bringing into the relationship? She's bringing in chesed. If Isha Mazras Tchila, what's that Isha Mazras Tchila? She's initiating, so to speak, the inspiration and the vigor in this relationship. What's making this relationship real, intimate one? She's bringing in chesed. She's tuned in, she's dedicated, she's giving her husband to her husband. Meaning, she finds within herself that aspect that connects to him, and there's a very deep connection there. But if the man initiates the flow first, he is the source of the inspiration and the initiation and the vigor and the stamina, then what happens? What is this relationship about? That he actually brings in the feminine aspect here. He's giving her. As he said, his hashpah has to be from the gvura in him. He has to find his wife within himself and give that, share that, connect to that. I want to connect to that. If I want to connect to that means I'm open to this. Why am I open to this? Because I find it within me. I need it. I yearn for it. I give it respect. That's what I want to connect to. I want to connect to you. You want to connect to me. B'meila, what happens? Ish Mazriyat Chila. What's the product? Product is a female. That's what intimacy means. Intimacy means ask not what your spouse can do for you. Ask what you can do for your spouse. That's the definition of oneness. Definition of oneness is not the t-shirt, I'm very easy to get along with once you learn to worship me. That's not intimacy. That's control. That's not yichud. That's dictatorship. That's tyranny. Or narcissism. Another form of tyranny. They say, how do you drown a narcissist? You put mirrors on the bottom of the ocean. That's not intimacy. It sometimes looks like intimacy. You know why? There's only one person. Great. You kill the other person. There's oneness. I'm a chaya. There's oneness because there's no other person. That's not intimacy. He's talking about Mayim and Eish coming together. How do Mayim and Eish come together? They have to find themselves within the other person, find the other person within themselves. I want to connect to you. So I can't ask what you're doing for me. Real intimacy means I have the confidence and the wholeness to be able to be here for you. Now that's really a deep form of letting go, and it's not so easy to let go. Because if you feel you're going to get hurt, you're not going to let go, which is really what narcissism is. We're trying to protect our turf. I'm so traumatized. I have a bottomless pit, right? Somebody once told me about themselves. It's true about many of us, at least at certain periods. He said, listen, my bucket doesn't have a bottom. So as many compliments as you give me, it never gets filled. So I can hear compliments all day and still crave more because there's a bottomless pit over there. So then I just need to there's nothing to hold on. I don't have a keli. Because I don't have a keli, it's broken. So therefore, and some of us, if you don't understand this, it becomes very, very difficult to comprehend. Because when somebody's keli is broken on the bottom, you could pour infinite amounts of water, nothing stays. Nothing stays. And then I can't be in a position where I ask not what you can do for me, I ask what I can do for you. How could I? I can't afford that. I can't afford to be Masiach Das 1 second from what you can do for me. Because if yes, I die. the pain is so deep, I can't be Messiah. There's nothing there. I can't think what you need. All I could focus is how you could be here for me. Like the woman who once said that she went on a date and for 3 hours he was talking about himself. And after 3 hours he says, it's enough of me talking about me. Let me hear what you have to say about me. Yeah. So when a person lives in that model, that's not intimate. Intimacy really comes from a certain sense of real wholeness. Because there's wholeness, now I can completely tune into you. So this is the paradox. When Ish Mazriyat Chileh, if he's really into this relationship, what is he bringing? What comes out in the energy? Femininity. So you let us nekeva. Isha Mazriyat Chileh, if she's really into this relationship, right? What is she tuning into? The male. So the male of the product is Zachar. That's the Vart. Vim Kain, Yiyah Lashna Pasuk, Nichik Pshutai. Now, the words of the Pasuk are very satisfactory. Literally. Shazera, Sheisha Kisazriya, Teled Ya'idei Zem Mamr Zachar. Through her Tazriya, that itself produces a Zachar. But like a Pirish of Philosophem, Machmar Shazera, Zachar Bala Beserv, Shenze B'mash Meloshna Pasuk Klal. Unlike the explanation of the philosophers, which is completely not indicated in the language of the pasuk, Isha ki sazriya v'yalda zachar, because according to them, it's not Isha ki sazriya, it's Isha ki sazriya. So his tipa comes on top, and he law gavar, and therefore yalda zachar. It's with a whole pilpul. There's a gap. But according to this explanation of the Balatanya, Isha ki sazriya. What's brought Isha ki sazriya? If she's inspired in the relationship, what is she tuning into? What is she connecting to? She's connecting to the chesed, she's connecting to the male. The male of Yalda Zach, and conversely, Ish Mazrit Chiledes Nekeva. Valpi Kabbalah, according to Kabbalah, Hazacher hu nimshach mishem ma, and Nekeva mishem ban. The Zach is associated with Hashem's name of 45, the feminine is associated with Hashem's name of 52. Yud and Hey and Vav and Hey could be spelled in 4 different ways, which make up the gematria of 45, 52, 63, or 72. For example, Yud Vav Dalad Hey Aleph, Vav Hey Aleph would be 45. And then Hey could be spelled Hey Aleph, and Hey Yud, and Hey, and Vav could be spelled in different ways. So the Zach is associated with Shem Ma, which is one configuration of Yud Ke Vav Ke. And then the Keva was Shem Ban. V'hinei Ma kolul gamken mi ban, v'gam Shem Ban kolul mi ban mi ma. Each name encompasses the other. V'hashpas hadchar hupchines ban dema. So what's pshat the male gives in a relationship? He's giving the ban aspect of ma. He has to find within himself his counterpart and connect to that and give that to the person. I want to give you you. I don't want to give you. I don't want to impose on you me. I want to connect to you. That's where we connect. We have to find the other in ourselves. And then on that, where you find me in you, and I find you in me, the you in me and the me in you can become one. But the me in me and the you in you will stay apart. Will stay apart. And that's a very humbling process. I have to find the you in me, and you have to find the me in you. And the me in you and the you in me connect, which means always that connection from my side is always the opposite, and connection from your side is the opposite. So Isha Mazras Tchila is going to be a Leda Zachar, because she's finding the me in her, and Ish Mazriyat Tchila, I'm finding the her and the Ish and the man, so it's going to be a Leda Snekeva. Ulefi Shashpa Zu B'chinas Shem Ban Yelchen Leda Snekeva. V'amnam Isha Shem Ban Mazras So Mashpas B'chinas Ma. She gives. What does she give? Ma, ha-kolul beban, the way it's kolul and ban. Because if it's not kolul and ban, she can't find it in herself. She can't connect to it. She can't give that aspect because she doesn't have it. I want to be able to really be here for you. Be here for you on your terms. I have to be able to find that you in me, because if not, how do I connect to you? I have no relationship. I am in my world. You're in your world. Ulefisho b'chinas ma. Because that's what she's being mashpia. Her flow, when his flow comes out physically, what is that flow? It's feminine energy. And when her flow comes out, what is it? It's masculine energy. That's what she's being mashpia. Because the real hashpa is always the hashpa to the other, for the other, in the other. If it's to the other, for the other, in the other, so then the hashpah is basically its chemistry, its fabric is made up of the other.
For a male, you want the detail-oriented side of you that you probably don't know exists.
Oh, important announcement. I'm going to Europe today. So tomorrow and Thursday there's no classes, but we will have a class by Ezra Hashem on Friday. We'll do Chassidus 7:30. Okay? And we'll do the Gemara 8:30. You could daven maybe first or later, whatever you want, but okay. Shabbos also, I'm also here. So please, those who come, if you could just tell them, Shabbos? Rabbi Center's shul. Rabbi Center's shul.
Are you going to also, you're not going to be there anymore. You're not going to be in the morning.
In the morning here.
And like an hour before midnight or something?
5 o'clock for women and then 6 o'clock for men. Or 6:30. Yeah.
This whole relationship with Yaakov and Leah, but that wasn't manifested with your 3 wives.
Yaakov and Leah, you're saying? How do you know it wasn't manifested?
There's a Dina part with Leah, Dina that was...
How do you know? If it's a klal in every marriage. Without the other women also.
Dina came from...
Yaakov.
You know that she was born with twin sisters, but for some reason...
The Torah discusses Dina, yeah. The Torah doesn't discuss the other sisters. But the truth is, it's true about everybody. It's true about everybody. The Torah says it by Dina. The Gemara uses Dina as a paradigm for a klal by everybody. Ish mazriat chilil adas nekeva. Dina is just the paradigm. It's the illustration, but it's true about everybody. Hatzlacha Rabba.
The Gemara was telling me he was speaking very fondly of his father. And his father was mechanic. He says he did something very bad when he was 12 years old. He stole a pack of cigarettes. He says, I'll never forget, my father looked at me, he was really mad. He says, Stia Mazla zegt met kaas en is wat er ongebrochen dabei. And then he took him to the store, called out the owner, took up money, gave it to him to pay, and apologized. He says, so he just told me this.
A kluge Tate.
Yes.
Was? Als was? Was ist der meide dicke Chiddush? Ja. Als kommt heraus, ist das ihr. Ja. 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 Der Chiddush ist doch euch in der Indien, der Musik. Ah? Die Yichud von den 2 Hafchen kommt nach, wenn... Was meinst du? Lama Fantasia.